Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of Ninja Exploration. And today we're going to be talking about wormholes. But first you might be wondering, what happened to exploring cache? Well, it turns out to get into cache it was looking like it was going to be a big pain in the ass. One, we can take the short route and deal with the entry systems that are camped to all hell. Or we can take, the long-ass route through two other nullsec regions, and then we might be able to sneak our way in. Well, that wasn't very appealing to me, and I was just getting fed up with it, and I just wanted to do something different. There had to be a better way to do this, and I think we can actually use wormholes to our advantage to explore Sovno. But first, let's talk about some other benefits to wormholes. First of all, I think they just look fantastic. I can sit in a wormhole and just look at space and it just looks wonderful. I especially like wormholes that has effects like black holes or wolf riots. It looks wonderful. It's always a pleasing experience to jump into a wormhole and just appreciate how cool it looks. The other nice thing about wormholes are, those mass limitations that are in place. It creates a very interesting dynamic when it comes to, PvP, and you can only fit so many ships through that hole before it collapses. Another nice thing about wormholes is that you can chain collapse your static. So essentially you can collapse your static wormhole, a new one will respawn, hopefully go into a different area. And it's really useful if you're trying to get to a specific wormhole, if you have a W space static, or if you're trying to get to a specific region for, K space statics. However, I think the most interesting aspect of a wormhole is to use it as a means of travel. So this can range anywhere from it just being a simple shortcut, or it can be, I'm going to go down this rabbit hole, this massive C4 chain, and see what other wormholes I can find and see exactly where they all go. But that kind of leads me to another question. That's great. Use wormholes for travel, but how does that help us in our goals with this video series? So, as you can tell, there's one major flaw with not using a Tech 3 for exploration in nullsec. Those dirty bubble mechanics are going to give you a hard time, especially if you're a lazy SOB like me. But let's assume you're not lazy like me and that you're actually taking the time to play it safe and not get dragged into bubbles. They're still pretty inconvenient because there's always those douchebags that love to camp entry systems or choke points with Tech 2 large bubbles. Jesus, those things are huge. It's a real pain. They can essentially just surround the gate with them, and next thing you know, you're burning like 40 kilometers trying to get to the gate. And, doing that slow burn cloak is just really annoying. And then you jump through the gate to find, more Tech 2 large bubbles, but this time they know you're there, and they're jumping after you, trying to decloak you. No fun at all. But we've also learned some other things during the video series so far. First of all, some entries are not camped, so that's useful for getting in. And generally speaking, nullsec is pretty empty once you're, a few jumps away from the entry systems, and if you're staying clear of the densely populated station systems. This is all fine and dandy, but how does this help us with our goal of exploring all the sub-null regions? Well, if we can avoid the entry systems to do our exploration, then we're probably going to be just fine in our buzzard and not going to have to depend on the crutch of the nullification of the Tech 3 cruiser. But how do we avoid entry systems and be able to explore those sub-null regions? Well, you find a wormhole as a nullsec static, and presto, Now you have your own personal gateway that despawns every 24 hours and then respawns, and it goes all over the freaking universe. Isn't that wonderful? So my new master plan, instead of trying to sneak in the back door through other regions to explore, Sobnol, what we're going to do is we're going to go find a wormhole that has a Sobnol static, and then that will allow us to just explore whatever regions our static spawns into, and that's going to reset every 24 hours, so we're going to have new areas to explore on a daily basis. We might get unlucky and it might spawn, in the same region consecutively, but, no big deal if that happens. We're on a 24-hour timer. We can be patient while we wait for a new respawn, or we can try to collapse the hole. We'll just have to figure that out once we actually find the wormhole. So, I'll be hunting for this wormhole. As you can see, it hasn't gone too great so far. The video you're watching is the first static chain I mapped out. Got stuck on the C4 highway for a little bit, and then I finally got into a C3. Unfortunately, the static of the C3 was too low sec, but I'm going to keep hunting, and hopefully in the next episode we'll find a suitable wormhole. It'll have a nullsec static. Hopefully it won't be occupied by a whole bunch of people, and we can get to taking advantage of the wormhole mechanics to, meet our goals of exploring all the Sobnol regions and maybe making some ISK along the way. So, that about wraps up this video, guys. I'll see you next time. Have a wonderful day.